Welcome back to the Octagon Opinions channel. Ladies and gentlemen, the second plane has hit the second tower. This is truly my mind's blown. My mind's blown. I'm straight off of watching Freedom 250. As you can see, um, bro, what the fuck happened on that card? I mean, there's literally nowhere else to start on the card other than the main event. Justin Gaethje getting the win over Topuria by way of TKO or stoppage. Bruh, this was fucked, man. I mean, what a fight. First of all, I think we have to, we have to just be fair to both guys and just admit that this was obviously fight of the night. Hopefully, Justin Gaethje gets a lot of that bonus money. This was incredible. This was the first time that we'd seen Topuria having the brakes beat off of him. His face looked like some sort of, pounded meat. This guy was getting hit the shit rocked. Um, I can't believe this. I'm speechless. We saw in the second round, in the first round as well, Topuria was ripping Gaethje to the body, and I really thought that that was going to do it. I thought Gaethje was going to go down, and I thought it was going to be done. Topuria put way too much of his effort into the body shots. He should have used knees a bit more when they were clinching. He should have maybe, when he had Gaethje up against the fence in the first few rounds, he should have slammed some shots into the head. And I know that he did, and I know that, he probably did what he could. Um, this is insane, and I mean, it's absolutely mental. Um, Genuinely speechless. Um, Taporia, he's had his all taken. He's had his all taken. Gaethje has taken Taporia's all. He's filled it with his one. Bit of a pause. Not sure about that. Bro, this is crazy. Genuinely, the craziest UFC fight event thing of all time. I think that's it without a doubt. You can talk about McGregor, Khabib. It wasn't really crazy though because Khabib won, and it was kind of expected. Um, and I know that maybe people thought McGregor would win, and whatever you want to say, this is by far the most insane UFC event that has ever happened. Um, the production value was genuinely top tier. And if they could do more like stuff more like that more regularly, just without all the fucking propaganda shit in it, then I think it would be a great product, well worth the money. But yeah, that main event was absolute insanity. Gaethje, I mean, I said that he could go into the later rounds, and I thought he would maybe get put out in the fourth round. I changed it to the third round, and boy was I wrong. This guy, I mean, his liver, his chin, he's made of fucking granite or something. Like, what the fuck? Where's this guy come from? From getting put out by Max Holloway, in their crazy exchange at the end of their fight, and he's now managed to dethrone Taporia. Like, this is genuinely insane. And he's finally unified the lightweight belt, so he can finally say he's a lightweight champion at 38 years old. This is the year of the Unks. Unk still has it. He's still got it. He beat Paddy. He's beat Taporia. He'll be probably put up against Armin Sarukian if he doesn't retire. If he does retire, we will finally get to see Armin v Ilya for the vacant belt at that point. This is crazy. Insane timelines are coming up. Then, co-main event. What the fuck happened here? Alex Pereira doing an impression of Frozen or something. Like, what's he doing? What is he doing? Guy walks out, throws what, like six head kicks, right? All of them get blocked, or well, some of them get blocked, some maybe do a little bit of damage. Guy literally stands there the whole second round, doesn't throw a single strike, and then he gets put down with a fucking jab. And by the way, what I will say though, I do have to say this about Cyril Gane, those fucking shots on the ground, those hammer fists and the elbows, like after he dropped Pereira with the jab, 90% of those were on the back of the head, and Herb Dean has got blood on his hands. Herb Dean, the fact that that guy did not in any way, shape, or form even try to stop those illegal shots from being landed on the back of Pereira's head. Herb Dean's a scumbag. He's an absolute scumbag. Um, and Cyril Gann's a scumbag as well for doing so many shots to the back of Pereira's head. That shit's not cool. Um, he still won the fight very clearly, I think. I think Pereira had no real answer for him. Everyone was expecting Pereira to, to go out there and just, knock Gann out or whatever. This was mental. I think I said Pereira was going to get it done in the second round by like knockout. So I got the round correct, but obviously the fight was wrong. Um, Genuine insanity. There is some sort of curse. The event was cursed. I think mainly because you know, I don't know, man. There's just something about it. What the fuck happened in this event? We had Alex Pereira freezing up and forgetting how to fucking fight, and he was just walking forward into Cyril Gane, not throwing anything. He didn't even throw a jab. He didn't even throw a jab. And the funniest part is that when Alex Pereira got put down, it was literally as he was going to throw a jab, and he gets jabbed first, gets put down, and gets finished up against the cage. Um, I mean, my mind just melted at this point, and then obviously, the Topuria fight, my head's gone, my head's gone. Um, Up until that point, I was doing really well on picks. I had basically every fight right, and then the co-main and main event decided that they just weren't going to go that way. So it is what it is. But what can you do? What can you do? We move on to the bantamweight bout. Sean O'Malley, Amin Zahabi. Sean O'Malley getting it done by KO in round two. Um, I thought, again, this was something I said in my last video, the prediction video. I said that Amin Zahabi needs to use the low kicks the same way Song Yadong kind of battered O'Malley's legs with them. And we were seeing in the first round, Amin Zahabi was absolutely killing O'Malley's leg. And it was because O'Malley just keeps leaving his legs. Like when O'Malley moves, he'll move, but then he'll leave one of his legs just out like a bit too long, and Zahabi was just absolutely battering them. Um, but regardless of that, it ultimately doesn't matter. Sean O'Malley gets it done. Um, Maybe the stoppage was a bit early. I think Amin Zahabi, he was, he was obviously, um, you know, um, what's the word? He was jellied. Okay, let's just say that he was jellied. Right, the guy was wobbled very clearly. He was down on the ground. He was probably, like a flash knockdown, right? A flash knockout. Um, but I don't think he was fully out. Okay, now you know you can say whatever you want. I think that stoppage was a slight bit too early. I would have liked to have seen a couple of follow-up shots from O'Malley just to kind of solidify it. But either way, great win for O'Malley. He'll be now in line for a title shot against Peter Yan if they don't give it to Merab, which I don't think they will. Um, but yeah, crazy knockout win for O'Malley. Great stuff. We move on to the next fight, the heavyweight fight of Josh Hockett and Derek Lewis. This went exactly how I thought it would go. Um, I think I said round two, maybe or round one. Either way, I said Derek Lewis, he gives up, and then this fight we saw him basically just giving up. Josh Hockett, he took the absolute piss out of Derek Lewis this whole fight, treated him like some bum. And I genuinely thought Derek Lewis was going to retire because this was embarrassing. I don't want to see Derek Lewis fighting in an octagon ever again. That was horrific. Great win for Josh Hockett. Um, he can maybe fight Pavlovich. I think is a good matchup for him next. I don't want to see Hockett getting a title shot straight away. I want to see him competing uh, for a title contender shot or a potential future title contender shot against a Pavlovich, um, maybe a Volkov. Um, but yeah, just something like that. We move on to the Rufi and Chandler fight. This again, it kind of went how I said it was going to go. Um, I said that Rufi was going to, finish Chandler. Um, I think, did I say round two or three maybe? Um, I just it was an amazing fight that Rufi had, and it was again it was just sad to see. Personally, I like Michael Chandler. I think even when he loses, the fights are incredibly entertaining, and that's something that no one can take away from him. The guy is just pure entertainment. But so is Rufi. Rufi is like McGregor on crack. Um, Rufi is like McGregor if McGregor, you know, had just like some sort of Brazilian flair about him. You know what I mean? Um, and I think it was really cool seeing him speaking pretty fluent English in the post-fight interview as well. Um, that's not really anything to do with the fight. I just thought that was pretty impressive. But yeah, great win for Rufi. Does it put him in line for a title shot? I mean, after seeing Gaethje do Elite Taporia in that kind of way, I'm not sure. I mean, I would maybe want to see Rufi fighting a little bit up the rankings before he gets a title shot straight away. Um, I think, do you know what a great fight would be? Mauricio Rufy and Paddy Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett's coming off of a loss. Obviously, Paddy Pimblett is going to fight BSD, but I think a little bit later in the year, maybe next year, early next year, I think maybe Rufy v Pimblett or maybe Rufy v kind of someone in that area. Um, I think he needs to fight up the division because the Chandler fight, although it was entertaining, it you know you know, it's Michael Chandler. It's you at the top. Um, but yeah, crazy win for Mauricio Rufy. Insane cards, by the way. KOs, TKOs, you name it. This card was just banger after banger after banger. Dana White, you do have to give him credit when Hunter Campbell does all the work for him and makes crazy matchups. You ultimately do have to, give credit to Dana White there. Um, it was crazy. It was absolutely insane. I mean, this fight here. Now, again, this was one of the fights that I did get wrong. I'm not too fussed about it though because who actually gives a fuck? It's Bo Nickel. But Bo Nickel got the finish in the first round. Um, Pretty craftily, I must say. I thought Kyle Dawkins would have the advantage on the feet. I thought his hands were going to be a bit better than they were. Um, but Bo Nickel, he picked him up, dumped him, obviously in one of the first kind of bits of action in that round, and then after that, he kind of looked like Dawkins. I don't know, it kind of looked like he'd kind of already kind of lost, and he kind of knew that he'd already lost or some shit like that. Um, but there was something weird, and then just bang, Bo Nickel just showing that he does have hands. Um, this was the weirdest fucking card, the weirdest event ever, man. You've got Bo Nickel getting a fucking TKO KO in the first round. What the fuck is that about? What's going on? Um, will we see him fight up middleweight? Yes, we will. Unfortunately, um, I think we're going to see him. I mean, who could they even give him? Who could they even give him? Um, maybe, maybe an Adesanya. Maybe an Adesanya. Or yeah, maybe an Adesanya. Or like a Joe Pyfer or something like that. Um, maybe a guy like that, kind of around the um, kind of more bottom half of the top 15 at middleweight. Um, Either way, whoever they give him, it'll be who it is. Um, great win for Bo Nickel, showing that he is actually meant to be here and that he isn't just, some like Make-A-Wish kid who got lucky. Um, but yeah, insane. And probably my favorite fight of the night. Um, it is going to be Diego Lopez finishing Steve Garcia in the first round. Sorry, not first round, second round. Um, this was the most joyous moment I think of my life in the last however many months. If you were not screaming and jumping up and down after Diego Lopez fucking annihilated Steve Garcia, you're not really, you're not really an MMA fan. You're not a UFC fan, right? If you're not, genuinely, you know, creaming your undies when Diego Lopez put Steve Garcia out like that. What are you doing watching it, right? Get off, let someone else watch it. This was an amazing start to the card. It was really like a proper setting the tone, setting the tempo, just really setting the expectation for what was going to follow. And, we have to be honest, what followed was absolute insanity. Um, Genuinely one of the best UFC events that they've ever had. And there's a lot of people who are going to want to hate on it, and they want it to be bad, because of the fucking slop, AI slop propaganda. Um, and again, look, I think that all that shit obviously should be nowhere near it. I think the acknowledgement of, firefighters and police guys and that kind of stuff is great. And I think it's cool that the UFC were doing that. I've got no issue with that. My main issue is just the fucking constant historical AI bullshit, just fucking rammed down your throat in between fights. Um, it was just getting a bit much. But other than that, I think it was genuinely an amazing event, and you do have to give credit because, like, it is ultimately only the UFC who could pull that off, right? One aren't doing that, PFL aren't doing that, Cage Warriors aren't doing that. No other organization in the world is pulling that off. Now, do they get favorable things given to them? Is Dana White getting, pounded by Trump secretly behind closed doors? Probably, right? Probably. Let's not bullshit. He might be getting his cheeks clapped, by the annoying orange, right? We don't know. We can't know. But yeah, I just think that the event as a whole was absolute. It was just brilliant. It was brilliant. Apart from the little footnote of AI historical slop. Um, but in terms of like fights and stuff, this is genuinely the biggest upset that I've ever seen, in on a UFC event. I don't think I've seen an upset like this in fucking ages. I mean, maybe the Kavanagh, Lunar Kavanagh beating Brandon Moreno. That was probably a pretty big upset, but I think on this scale, at the White House, Ilya Taporia getting fucking battered by Justin Gaethje. Um, that is his name now. Um, and what was the deal with Sean Strickland getting fucking hauled away, right? Mental. But yeah, man, this event had it all. It was genuinely peak. This is peak. If anybody ever asks you to define peak, if you're ever in an argument, someone says, "Oh, define peak," then show them this, right? Just show them this, stick it on, put it in front of them, and just let them absorb the absolute just quality of this card. Um, but yeah, amazing stuff, amazing stuff. Comment down what you thought, like, subscribe, do all that good shit. Um, yeah, man, fucking insane. Um, but yeah, have a good one. And I'll catch you all in the next one.